somebody had asked a question about jizya. Jizya was historically a kind of a truce mechanism that, look, you don't want war, fine, we don't want war. Why don't you settle? You can contribute in your tax to the kingdom annually once, and that's fine. You can live within a protectorate, you will be protected, you will have your rights and so on. Jizya is not defined Islamically as in the quantitative. I mean, speaking from a quantitative perspective, you don't have like this is what the jizya needs to be, like 10 dirhams or 20 dinars. This was just made, estimated by the people of its time. Sometimes it was just 1 dinar a year, and in different regions it varied, whatever the king of the region thought. I know the term caliph is used as well by Muslim kings. That's fine. There's no harm in using the word caliph, or sometimes they use the word sultan, or they use the word, but they were just malik as well, king. They used the word Caesar, they used the word emperor of their own, whatever they wanted to use. The reason I say kings is because to show it as it truly was, this Bollywood version of a kind of highly romanticized myth of this one supreme Islamic ruler called the Caliph who led the Muslim world throughout is nothing but a fairy tale. Nothing like that ever existed. And our history had anything. The rulers hardly ever were involved in any Islamic affairs. They were just usually interested in expansion, in collecting taxes. They did used to build things and do things because that's what kings would do, and they were usually involved in military expeditions, taking over stuff, and then usually in politics, in watching out from their cousins and brothers who are trying to kill them, and they would be killing them off. And that's what usually always happened. So as sad as grim as that sounds, that was the unfortunate reality. Right, so anyway, jizya was not set. It was not a predetermined amount. It was subjective and very arbitrary. Right, so okay. And in this day and age, not that we have, we do not need empire. Anybody who's calling to empire is still deluded with this myth of Islamic romanticism. Right, but the truth is that today we have nation states. In a nation state, the concept has changed. So Islam embraces and reflects the era of its time. So today there would be no such thing as jizya. There would be just general taxes collected from all people. Okay, and that's how it would work. And we would have citizenship. So citizenry would necessitate by default equal rights. Okay, so that's fine. So taxation without representation. No, I mean, they had representation too. You know, this jizya is so misunderstood, people. It is one of the unfortunate, great, tragic. Need to add a few more, emphatic factors here. That it is a catastrophic, cataclysmic. It's a calamity of biblical proportions that has struck this ummah. This understanding of jizya. People assume that jizya is an Islamic, something that was introduced by Islam, and it never was. This is the this is something people never bothered to check up. That this term jizya and the actual jizya, the concept of this kind of agreement tax, or an agreement, whatever it is that you make a payment. Now, this was something that from way before Islam, from the northern Arabian territories, the kingdoms of Lakhmid, the kingdoms of Ghassan, those kingdoms in the Middle East, way before Islam emerges way before the lifetime of the Prophet, when the Arabian Peninsula didn't even really have any importance as far as Arabs were concerned. Back then, they were using it up north. It was already an understanding that they're going to pay whatever it is. I mean, whatever they had their tribal warfare, they had their tribal settlements, they did whatever they did, and they had this concept of jizya. Hence, even the Jewish Arabs had this, and it's in the Jewish tradition as well as I believe it's called gazit or something, but it has a similar kind of etymology. So what's happened is Muslims have assumed, unfortunately, because when Islam came about, it was so powerful in what it did in redefining everything, that it became like, the analogy is like such a bright light. And although a bright light is brilliant and great, and it shows the path ahead of you, the problem is what's behind it becomes blacked out and you can't really see. And in that analogous sense, you see, Islam eclipsed the history of the Arabs that went before it. And I'm not saying that may not do so much harm. One may think, well, what's the big deal with eclipsing the historicity of the Arabs prior to Islam? There isn't, I mean, from a perspective, there isn't much harm. It's just saying, well, a kind of history died out. But the problem is that, you see, all the terms that Islam speaks about that get kind of carved into stone, there's no continuity for them. So people assume that they were doing. So let me give you an example. Hang in there. Roll with me on this, people. Check. Let's say, for example, now people 500 years from today are documenting, let's say, my life. All right. And let's say they want to go in accordance with my instructions, with my teachings, with my guidance. Now, and they want to follow my day-to-day life about things that I do. So, but I'm living within a context, within the UK, within the norms, within the conventions, the culture, the kind of social dynamics. So let's say, for example, they read that, Mufti Abu Layth went on holiday in August. But 500 years from today, they have no understanding. Imagine the entire history, more or less, of the UK and the world as it is now had disappeared. So they may assume that, so according to Mufti, going on holiday in August is a great thing. Or it's something that he did with, we can see year in, year out, he would go on holiday at this time. But there was a context to that these were actually summer holidays within which schools were off and many people went on holiday. It was something that was from way before my time. But to people 500 years from today, when they have no history, they just have my diary, they may assume that I introduced this. They may think that, that's a trend that Mufti Abu Layth came up with. But I didn't. I mean, so what I'm trying to say is, when we're reading into the seerah and we're seeing words and we're seeing terms and we're seeing actions that were taken, we don't have a context because of so much of it having been blacked out. So we're assuming that Islam introduced them. So it's like that, going back to that same analogy that, Mufti must have introduced this concept of going on holidays at this time. So this term jizya was something that was in operation for at least 1 to 2 centuries, if not more, before Islam. And it was something that the northern Arab kingdoms were already practicing. I mean, it was a normal, it's like today the term, like saying embargo. to place a kind of embargo or to place a sanction, like the way the word sanction exists. So if our world history was erased and only somebody heard about a particular thing 1,000 years from today, and they think, oh, well, that regime introduced the term sanction and imposed it. But that's not what actually, it was a common term that the whole world would embark and partake in. So this is the same thing with jizya. Hence, when the term jizya is only mentioned once in the Quran, once, that they must give, حَتَّى يُعْطُوا الْجِزْيَةَ عَنْ يَدٍ وَهُمْ صَاغِرُونَ. Now this term is only used once, with no explanation, no context, no, by the way, people, this is what a jizya is. Because the people being addressed seem to have a very good idea of what jizya means. They know, they are familiar with this term. Hence, it's never used again. So, I think that's a very important, right, so that's a very important point to make.